Hi folks. So I've been making pasta bowls recently, and it's a really popular, easy shape to make, and people like using them. We use them all the time in our household. So this is what I go through. The clay body is the clay body I mix here in the shop. It's basically a fire clay, 2 parts, 1 part ball clay, with a little bit of grog and some gold art, feldspar, and silica. Nothing very complicated. And these pasta bowls were made the day before yesterday. So right now, they're really stiff, and that's important. I don't want them, as I pop them from the bat, I don't want them to warp and have to figure out how to get them back flat and straight. So I let them set up till they're a very stiff leather hard. They're not going bone dry, but they're close to it on the rim. And I do that for 2 reasons. One is, I just explained, I don't want them to overly warp. And 2, I'm pressuring here with my fingertips as I do the trimming with this bowl on the bat, on a foam bat. So these bowls were 3 pound 12 ounces of clay, and they were thrown wet to 10 inches. I'm going to trim the foot half of that, 5 inches wide. So I keep a ruler nearby. I want them to stack nicely inside each other, and it seems like that proportion of 10 inches and 5 inches works really well. So let's get to trimming. So one of the first things I do is establish the width of the foot, the diameter. And there's a fraction over 5 inches, which is fine, because I can adjust it as I work. I was taught when I was a student in a shop, when you're making bowls, don't worry too much about the outside of the bowl when the clay is wet on the wheel. Throw the inside of the bowl. Deal with the rim. You're going to change the outside when you trim it. So I've used that rule for a long time, and it seems to work. Now you notice I don't put anything at the rim to hold the pot in place. I'm pressuring it here. And there's a reason why I don't want lumps of clay holding the bowl to the wheel head, and that's because I need to trim this area. If I had lumps of clay here, that would not be possible. So the outside shape right now is trying to imitate the inside shape. The one thing that's a little different is I've added this angle here, and there's a reason for that, and I'll show you in just a second. Now while I'm trimming, I never hesitate to pick the pot up to get a sense of its weight and thickness. And right now this is good thickness. I can feel it from here inside to outside. I still have this to trim away, So it's a little bit weighty in the bottom, but that's going to change here shortly. Now this is a bison tool, razor sharp, and what I'm doing is I'm going to create a chattering effect here. And this chattering is really just a subtle decorative element underneath the bowl. I've always thought that the inside shape and surface of the bowl should be as interesting as the outside, or vice versa. The outside needs to be interesting looking too. So what I'm doing here is, these bison tools are razor sharp, so be very cautious if you own one cleaning clay out of it. And the puppies are wrestling back here, so sorry about that. Now you're going to hear it before you see it. And there's my chattering. I'm going to come back and trim the edge of it just a little bit. And now cut the inside foot. Now I'm actually holding on to the pot back here with my fingertips. This foam bat is quite stiff foam, and it has a little sticky quality to it. Now, I'm going to glaze this inside area, so I want to make sure that this bottom point here is not too tall, because I've got to fit some glaze in there. So I'm going to take it down just a fraction more. Now, I told you in my clay body we use a little bit of grog, and sometimes it can create these tear lines. And I really don't want them on the pots, because I'm going to use a semi-transparent see-through glaze here, and I don't want those to show up. So what I use is a piece of credit card. I'll sometimes quickly dampen that just a little bit. Just make sure that there's no lines showing up. This foot is a little bulky for this pot, so I'm going to take it down a little bit more. Now this line right here is what I call a wax line. I'm going to wax from the inside corner over the foot and stop at the top of that ledge. From there onward will be glazed surface. Now my chop. I'm going to just wipe away my finger marks. And I put it on a really clean surface. They will go outside to dry immediately. There's no handle attachment to worry about cracking. And when I get to bisque firing, I'll stack one inside the other with little spacers in between the foot and the inside of the pot. Anyway, it's only 19 more to go. Thanks for watching, folks.